Welcome to the Why on Earth Community Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron William Perry, and today we're visiting with the founder of Purium, David Sandoval. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing amazing. So great to be here with you.
Yeah, great to be with you too, Dave. Looking forward to our conversation today.
Indeed.
David Sandoval founded Purium on the belief that raw organic foods should be both accessible and affordable for everyone, and sustainable and conscious of Mother Earth. Beginning in the early years of the Whole Foods movement, Dave researched and studied alongside the most recognized industry leaders from all over the world. This knowledge inspired Purium in the United States and Platinum Health in Europe. With only a small space and a few products to start, Dave joined by Purium co-founder Amy Venner, hand-selected organic farmers to help produce pure and premium superfoods to start their organic superfoods company. Since their humble beginnings, they've grown Purium into a 40,000 square foot, fully automated manufacturing facility with over 100 employees and 60 packs and products. Even with all the growth, though, Dave remains at the heart of every decision. And after more than 20 years, he stays committed to the latest research and whole food advancements. A true family man, Dave is a lover of all humans and takes great pride in living a life that authentically reflects his love for the earth and its people. And Dave, obviously that ethic, that ethos, that philosophy resonates so deeply with us here at the Why on Earth community. And I'm thrilled to be announcing in this podcast episode a very special partnership that we're launching between Purium and the Why on Earth community. And we'll be talking about that more and providing some nice links and resources for folks. But before we go there, let me ask you, let's rewind and ask, why did you start Purium back in Long Beach when you did? What was that like? Paint that picture for us.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And that's a great way to place to start. At the beginning, I was dedicated. I had been working for a Japanese pharmaceutical company for 6-7 years, and they were trying to take Chinese herb formulas and convert them into pharmaceutical drugs. And so I learned a lot about the farming of these herbs and how to grow them and what their properties were. But I wasn't that into the turning them into pharmaceutical drugs part, And so I left that company and decided to start my own superfood company, taking those same superfoods and herbs and just giving them to people the way that God intended, directly from the earth, grown in pure soil and then dehydrated by a special method that, kept all of the nutrients intact. So the reason I started my company is because I wanted to give people direct access to the highest quality foods that were available on earth. And if they made a decision, if they made that decision that they wanted to consume that quality of food, but it wasn't available, I thought that would be a real tragedy. So I don't remember whether you asked me why I started my company or why I started it in Long Beach. So, but I can answer both.
Yeah, really both. Both. You I think brought some info about why you started the company, but yeah, why Long Beach? How did that happen?
Well, my company's motto was to end human suffering, and to basically save the world. And I thought, if I'm going to save the world and I can't even save the neighborhood that I'm in, then that's a pretty bad place to be. I wanted to be that philosophy that, that healing begins at home. The change we seek in the world must begin at home. So I went to Long Beach in 1993, after the Rodney King riots had destroyed that part of Long Beach, and all the buildings were burnt out. They were covered in graffiti. I'm not joking. There were gangbangers, drug dealers, prostitutes, and truck drivers was all that you saw in that neighborhood. And I said, this is where I'm needed. This is where we're needed. So we went there and we rehabilitated the buildings, and we hired gang members, and we hired what at the time was a term called welfare, moms, which was a terrible, demeaning term. But we sought them out, we hired them, and we trained them. and we changed their lives, and we turned around that community so much that just 12 years later, every building on the block is rehabilitated, painted. There were jobs everywhere. And so we ended up renting 8 different buildings on both sides of the blocks as we grew and grew and grew, knowing that healing our community first would give us the sort of the, a jump start on healing the world.
It's really so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and at the Wine Earth community, especially with our ambassadors, we talk so much about how the healing begins with us inside, but with the within. And of course, we're dropping this podcast episode right in the midst of the launch and release of my visionary eco-thriller novel, Veritas, in which Purium's mentioned several times, and that's a big theme in the story there as well. So, wow, that's an incredible story and triumph, really, of the human spirit, this experience you've shared with us about Long Beach. And now you guys are committed to this Million Mom movement. Could you tell us a bit about what that's all about and how that plays into your strategy and your work at Purium now?
Absolutely. Well, obviously, we like to serve communities that are oftentimes underserved, And so once we had helped Long Beach reach that status, we are now in Compton, a new movie straight into Compton instead of straight out of Compton. But anyhow, yeah, the Million Mom movement is an extension of just that. You see, there are people who are unable to hold a traditional job. They're caretakers, they're mothers. They might be homebound because of some, personal, thing that we just don't even know, who knows? They might be on a dialysis machine and can't even leave their home. But for the Million Mom movement is to serve these people, the caregivers, the mothers, the stay-at-home parents, and all the people who want an opportunity to participate in a vibrant economy, healing their communities, healing themselves. And the Million Mom movement introduces them to that opportunity, how to select food, how to go grocery shopping, what to be aware of, so that their children, and their families are avoiding the chemicals and the toxins and really the dangers that occur in what most people considered food. I'd give you the one example and then we'll move on. Every mother gives her child those little round Oaties, right? And now we know that the little round Oaties have a chemical in them that could literally cause, autism, could cause learning disorders, could cause cancer and all these other things. And that's the first thing we're feeding our kids. And so the Million Mom movement is an awareness, social activism arm of Purium that really gets out there and, speaks to some of the issues that are facing our society, and I'm really proud to have helped spurn and spawn and, and cheer them on.
Yeah, it's so important, Dave. And, we recently interviewed for another podcast episode, the executive director of the Clean Label Project, and they are helping to reveal to the public so many different toxins that folks find in their foods and even their household cleaning products, right? And even the shampoos and soaps and things, moisturizers we're using during and after our showers. And it's so important that the public not only become really smart about where these toxins exist to avoid them, but also become really smart about the special clean foods we can be taking to help rid our bodies of these toxins that we've already been exposed to. And I know that's one of the important keys in the Purium formulations. And I'm hoping you might speak to that a little bit, especially as it relates to the toxin glyphosate.
Well, many, many years ago, I became aware of the problem of genetically modified organisms, and I became a real, advocate against that, I guess, a real warrior. And then I realized that the danger of GMOs was real, but the true present danger was actually glyphosate, the chemical used to support the production of genetically modified organisms. And if you read my book, The Toxin That Came to Dinner, it's just a 60-page little tome, and it will illustrate literally, graphically, and I mean with graphs, graphically, the correlations between the increased use of this particular industrial chemical called glyphosate. We know it as Roundup, okay? And we can smell it as soon as you walk into the garden store. You smell this chemical and you know that it's not good for you, okay? And so this Roundup, there's now billions of dollars of judgments against the makers because it's been proven that it causes cancer and damages the human body. So in my book, The Toxin That Came to Dinner, I will show you the increase in over 12 of the most common conditions afflicting mankind today that did not even exist in 1980. They were barely on the map in 1980 when glyphosate was introduced. And now 40 years later, you could see the exact increase of these diseases in our population correlated to the tonnage of glyphosate used in the environment. And now 75% of all food sold in stores is contaminated with glyphosate. 95% of all beverages sold in stores are contaminated with glyphosate. And 99% of all people tested, only because they never say 100, have glyphosate in their blood right now as we speak. And glyphosate harms your body by destroying, by destroying the friendly, beneficial, flora in your stomach that is necessary for you to digest food, absorb toxins, and produce serotonin, which is why depression is rampant in America today.
Yeah, it's so critical. Dave, if somebody wants to get your book, The Toxin That Came to Dinner, where do they go to get that? Where do they find that?
So I'm gonna give you a free download. You just share it with everybody who communicates with you, okay? And I'm gonna get that to you.
Excellent. Wonderful. That's awesome. And what I know you have some specific products that are geared for removing glyphosate from our bodies. Could you tell us about that a little bit?
Well, I remember you guys are a little younger than me, but the Beatles said there's no problems, there's only solutions, okay? And I believe that. And so when I saw the problem with glyphosate, I meditated and I prayed. And people are like, well, why didn't you go to the scientific books? I said, because nobody had ever cleaned glyphosate from the body before. This has not been done before, okay? And so I meditated and I prayed, and all of a sudden people started coming to me, okay? The representatives of literally a Nobel Prize winning doctor, Albert St. the person who discovered vitamin C, along with Linus Pauling. He was actually the lead doctor. Linus Pauling was his assistant, but most people don't know that. So Albert St. George's group came to me and said, we have something that we believe that you might want. And it was amazing. It was the part of our, anyway, 4 different people came to me over the next months that had no idea that I would ultimately put these unique ingredients together in order to accomplish something that had never been accomplished before. So first, okay, I use a sporogenous bacteria that will bloom inside of the gut. And as soon as it blooms, it attracts this chemical, binds to the chemical, denatures the chemical. And then another one of our ingredients will actually bind to that and allow it to become part of our feces or our urine so it could move out of our body, right? And then we have another ingredient that repairs the damage that was done by the glyphosate. So we grab it, we remove it, and then we repair the damage that was done by the glyphosate. Now, our preclinical trial done in the United States proved that we could eliminate 74% of glyphosate in the bodies of people who have not changed their diet, And correspondingly, for those of you who have, the knowledge, C-reactive protein, the biomarker for inflammation, was reduced by 75%. Now, if you could imagine, you go to any doctor and say, I've got a product that could reduce CRP by 75% in 6 weeks, that doctor's going to call you a straight up liar. Okay. But we've got the scientific proof that we could do it in a double-blind clinical study. And of course, validated and verified by I think it's the NSA or NSF, whoever it is that, National Science Foundation.
Yeah, probably NSF. NSA, I think, is engaged in
other things,
security and digital espionage and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. That is just amazing. So I want to make sure at this point to share with our partnership, folks can go right to whyonearth.org/Purium. And right there, you're going to see some other videos and resources about the Purium product and some direct links to get in and get some of these products for yourself. There's a $50 minimum savings on your first order, and it's $50 or 25%, whichever is greater. Additionally, proceeds from your orders, your first and your ongoing orders, will come back and benefit the work that we're doing at the Y on Earth community, which of course is an educational nonprofit, making all manner of work possible, including our podcast series. And I really encourage all of you folks to check it out. I'm currently enjoying the ultimate lifestyle transformation. I've actually lost a few pounds and feeling amazing. And for me, I've been a comfort eater since I was a teenager. And so one of my big things is eating a lot more food than probably I should be eating. And with this ultimate lifestyle transformation, Dave, I've actually been eating a lot less and feeling great. So, there's so many other benefits in addition to the detoxification that you're speaking to.
We call that subtraction by addition, and it's real. Most people spend less money in the month that they do a ULT, including the cost of the ULT, for food than they've ever spent before. You're not getting cravings because of something called the bitters effect. You're going to be taking 3 bitters a day, 2 power shakes and the sour cherry, the tart cherry. And that in turn stops your cravings for carbohydrates and sweets. You're going to be satisfying your basically your glucose, tolerance level is going to be really nice. So you're not going to have any carbohydrate cravings. So those little impulse snacks and things that you buy just because those aren't going to happen either. So most people tell me that they save an average of $200 to $300, a month after they started using Purium products. And that to me is what, like I said, subtraction by addition. You add in the ULT and you start subtracting aches, pains, digestive issues, but you also start subtracting money from your budget.
Yeah, look, I can corroborate this because I did a little bit of the math myself here over these last few weeks, as I'm preparing to help share the Purium story to a whole lot of folks in our network. I want to make sure I understand the impacts myself. And I will tell you, I can already vouch and say I'm saving at least $100-200 a month right now, and probably considerably more than that actually when I really add it all up. So, what's to argue with? I feel better. I've lost some weight already. I'm getting incredible nutrition and I'm saving some money, right? So that's incredible.
And think about this. Most people don't realize that doctor's visits, co-pays on medications, days lost at work, those are money that we could count. But what about your quality of life? What about waking up feeling amazing the way I do every day at 60? What about never having an ache or pain like I never do at the age of 60? I got these wrinkles and I got this gray hair, I'm living that. But what's on the inside is no different from when I was 17. I never have an ache or a pain, a digestive issue. I've got no issues. I don't get up in the middle of the night to pee, none of that. And I'm 60 years old, 60 years young, excuse me.
60 years young. I love it, Dave. Well, and this brings up another, I think, really important point, which is about lifestyle and freedom. And we're talking financial freedom. We're talking freedom to move in time and space and do what we want with our time and space. And one of the beautiful things about the Purium model, right? And I've been doing a lot of work and research since graduate school on regenerative economic models and how we can transform what we're doing in business and in our economy at large. And I think this is a great example of one of the structural strategies. And that is Purium is a conscious network marketing business model. And what that means is affords an opportunity for any of us to say yes and to engage and to essentially ramp up our passive income and earned income potential with a very different sense of freedom in terms of our own time and in terms of where we're spending our time. And I'd love for you to speak to that, Dave, and tell us, how and why did you originally choose the network marketing model? And what is that looking like for you today in terms of how you're seeing other people being impacted? And I'd love to hear a bit about, what does your day-to-day look like as well, your own lifestyle in all of this?
Well, let's take it one step at a time. And thank you so much for that question. If you know anything about how to market to people, there's three different ways. There's you sell direct to them. Doesn't matter how you do it. You could set up a booth on the corner, or you could sell direct to them on Amazon, but you sell direct to your consumer, right? And in that way, that's a very interesting way. However, there's limits to that. The other way to sell it is through a store. You get the stores to sell it for you. They put it on a shelf. People come into the store and they buy it that way. And the problem is with both of those business models is they're fairly impersonal. The store, the distributor, the jobber, the broker, they all make a bunch of money. And by the time you buy a product that costs, say, $100, it costs, the store owner $50. The distributor paid $35 for it. And, and so there's a lot of money that goes into the ether. You know what I mean? That just disappears. And so when you buy direct or sell direct, okay, typically a whole bunch of money just goes into the hands of the manufacturer. They get stinking rich because they're selling directly to you and they've cut out all the middlemen, right? And so what I decided to do was I only wanted my product to be recommended by people who had a personal experience with it, a positive, personal, amazing experience, and then wanted to tell everybody about it. Okay, when I see a movie I love, I put it on Facebook immediately, tell all my friends. When I read a book like yours, I'm going to tell my friends about it, right? They're going to buy the book. When I go to a restaurant, especially when I go to a restaurant, because I'm so dang picky, I find a restaurant that meets my standards and I tell the world. And I'm not an influencer the way like some people are, but if I tell people I love a restaurant, thousands of people end up there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that restaurant owner never once gave me, a free plate for that. Right? And so what I decided is not only did I only want my products recommended by people who had a great personal experience, I wanted those people rewarded for recommending my products authentically. Okay. But it had to go beyond that. It had to go to the point that after you trusted somebody who you knew, who had our products, who used them, but what if you didn't have as good of an experience as they did? Well, I'm the only company that I know of that gives a 30-day supply of product with a 60-day money back guarantee. That means you could use every drop of it. Think about it for a couple of weeks and still return it. And I'm going to give you 100% of your money back. And the reason I do that, and the reason I give everybody their first $50 worth of products for free, is because I want to show the confidence I have that you're going to experience this life-changing transformation. And I want to make it as easy as I can for you to say yes. So if I give you your first $50 for free, if I tell you that if it isn't amazingly transformative, I will give you your money back, no questions asked.
Okay? That's awesome. Yep.
I don't know how else I could reach out to people, how else I could let them know. I'm the only company that doesn't use binders, fillers, excipients, preservatives, additives, coloring agents, flowing agents, My product's always 100% pure. I just got to let people try it.
Absolutely, Dave. Yeah, we're super psyched to be part of the ecosystem now. And look, by the way, I got to mention that in the beginning of this story, Veriditas, when our protagonist, Brigitte Sophia, first arrives in Boulder and meets up with this wacky character that's maybe somewhat autobiographical, she notices on his counter there's some Purium product. And in the back of the book, we have a few pages of information about the Y on Earth community, our new Veriditas Society, and Purium. And if you have the book, there's a QR code right there that'll take you right to yonearth.org/Purium so that you can get these products and try them for yourself with no risk with this 60-day return guarantee. And look, these products are amazing. And Dave, I want to talk, here's Can't Beat This, for example. And one of my very favorites, Green Spectrum, right here. And these are powders, and I'd love for you to share with us how you're making these. Cocoa hydrate. I've actually got a glass right there of some I prepared to drink while we're talking, which I'm going to grab when you field this question, Dave. But I've been in the regenerative, organic, and natural food industry since I was a high schooler, actually, many years ago. And I'm a huge fan of eating directly from our gardens, eating directly from our local regenerative farms. Of course, Y on Earth is partnered here with Elk Run Farm and the Drylands Agroecology Institute. And that needs to, I think, be a big part of our strategy. And that said, with the Purium products, many of which come in powder form and are very easy to travel with, very easy to run out the door if you're running to a meeting or what have you.
From the law,
Yeah, this format for me has been just a huge addition and complement to the other ways that I'm eating the veggies and fruits that are grown right outside the door here. And so I was hoping you could tell us a bit, Dave, about the manufacturing process itself as it relates to your organic supply chains and the packaging. And while you do that, I'm going to grab my drink right over here because I forgot to bring it over before we started recording.
No worries. So my commitment, first of all, starts with my seed selection. We select organic and many times heirloom seeds, and then we plant those seeds in some of the purest soil that's found on Earth. The soil, the water, the seeds, this is where it starts, okay? Now, once the plants are ready for harvest and harvested, they're harvested at their peak of freshness and then immediately vacuum dehydrated at around 75 degrees. It starts at 68, ends up at 83. So an average of 75 degrees. In 2 minutes, these juices have been turned into powders that will be stable for years with all of the enzymes, all of the protein, non-coagulated, unheated, okay, and still intact. And so non-coagulated proteins, enzymes still could be measured in this food. Delicate enzymes like protease and amylase and lipase are still measurable, okay? And not to mention enzymes like superoxide dismutase, transhydrogenase, fatty acid oxidase, and all of those yummy ones. But the bottom line is that our dehydration process does something incredible. It guarantees we use 100% of the harvest that ultimately goes to nourish people. And that is not typical of a harvest where less than 50% of most harvests ever get into bodies to nourish people. And not to mention the cost of transporting produce out of the fields. Ours is dehydrated in the field, reducing it to 5% of its original volume and weight. So our carbon footprint is dramatically reduced. So we produce more fresh food, preserve it in the field, and deliver it to people all over the world without waste. This is the dream. You know what I mean? This is the dream.
Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful.
Now the packaging. The packaging is also the most unique packaging you could imagine, just like that dehydration process that we have recreated, okay? And when the waves hit the rocks at the ocean and you see the spray go up in the air, And then you see the little twinkles, okay, of the salt as it comes back to the ground. That is rapid dehydration done by nature right in front of your eyes. We created that process. We recreated that process to dehydrate food in a miracle of just imitating nature. Okay. But when we put that food, which was the best on the planet, we put it into, unfortunately, plastic bottles that were shipped all over the earth. So 4 years ago, I made a commitment to develop packaging made out of bamboo and hemp that had no petrochemicals and no plastic. And we did it. And since that time, we have displaced over 100 tons of plastic that we would have sold, we would have shipped, that would have been thrown into landfills, but now was not. And I'm so proud of our plastic-free commitment. I am so proud of what we've done, in our commitment to this planet, its people, and its creatures. The four-legged, the two-legged, the winged ones, and the swimmers. We're committed to all of them.
So beautiful, Dave. It's absolutely marvelous. Boy, I hope to see Purium continue to grow and scale and reach more and more people, and help more and more families and communities, and help clean up our overly toxified world, which is so desperately needed at this point.
Oh.
Can you tell us a bit about the impact you've had on the organic certification of food products over these years that you've been involved in all of this?
Absolutely. So when I came into the industry, organic was a little bit like natural. Anyone could use it anytime they wanted without regulation. Well, we decided that was wrong. And so we began to go and create documented and verifiable, certifiable methods. It came from Oregon Tilth, an amazing group of people put together the Oregon Tilth method of verifying and validating. And so Oregon Tilth was the basis for the OCIA, the Organic Crop Improvement Association. We called ourselves the Organic CIA because we would go and spy on farms that claimed to be organic and certify them if they were and shut them down if they weren't. And so the Organic Crop Improvement Association, we then lobbied the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, to adopt our standards. And not to mention the European standards, which we ultimately harmonized just 3 years ago now. We went 25 years with a different standard in Europe, a different standard in Asia, a different standard in the United States, but now it's been harmonized. And so now there is a safe space, there is a safe harbor, there's a place you could go if you want to eat chemical free, and it's called organic food. And less than 1% of the world's food is grown without chemicals. Less than 1% of the world's food is grown without chemicals. Less than 1% of the world's foods can be considered superfoods. And at Purium, we provide you with organic superfoods, the finest of the finest, the purest of the pure, the most potent of the potent. And we deliver them straight to your door. You know what I mean? And nothing's more beautiful than that.
Absolutely love it. And we've had some other guests on the podcast, and I'll just remind folks real quick. This is the Why on Earth Community Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron William Perry, and today we're visiting with the founder of Purium, David Sandoval. And of course, we've had a number of other guests, Dave, working so hard in dedicating their careers to this kind of organic and health and wellness, lifestyle oriented set of strategies and organizational offerings. Folks like Jeff Moyer and Yichao Rui over at the Rodale Institute, Elizabeth Whitlow over at the Regenerative Organic Alliance, many of our friends over at Dr. Bronner's engaged in this work so diligently. And my gosh, my hope and vision and prayer is that more and more of us as individuals, as consumers, as responsible family members and community members are not only choosing these healthier, safer, better foods for ourselves and our families, but helping to spread the word in our communities. It's so critical and so important that we use our power of choice, not only for our own health and wellness and restoring our planet, but also to drive consumer demand into the economic system so that the companies we want to see scale and grow are the ones that scale and grow.
Well, I wanted to take a minute and answer a previous question about the Purium economy.
Yep.
You had asked me, about why we chose Purium, and I want to get into the economic part, because when you become what we call a Purium brand partner, okay, a brand partner is just that. It's our brand, it's your brand. We're partners in promoting that brand. And when you become a Purium brand partner, you get some really amazing benefits, and not the least of which is incredible tools and training to where it becomes easy to do what you do to help, improve the lives of your community and your family. But more importantly, I can't even tell you how many lives I've seen changed. I've seen a woman who was living in her car in Hawaii, 2 kids on food stamps, and somebody gifted her a Purium opportunity. And she took advantage of it. And just 2 years ago, she bought a house for her mother, and then bought a house for her grandmother, bought a house for herself. And this isn't about money, but this is about that opportunity, because no matter where you live, it's called location freedom. No matter where you live, as long as you have access to the internet, you're at work with Purium. So if you're a country person, you want to live in the country, you're a city person, you want to live on a boat, you want to live in the mountains, you want to live in the desert. It doesn't matter. If you have an internet, you're at work. And second thing is time freedom. No one tells you when to go to work, and you're not spending any money on gas. You're not spending any money on coffee on the way to work, and you're not buying lunch off of a wagon. That's for sure. And spending half of your wages on childcare, gas, and food, not to mention the clothes that you wouldn't wear if you weren't going to that office. So if you think about all the money you spend unnecessarily to support your job, it's like having another dependent. Okay. By the time you deduct the taxes and all those expenses and all of your time, which has value too, you spent 10 hours of your day and about 20% of your wages just to do your job. Now imagine flipping that around and spending 2 hours a day, which is the average the person at Purium making an 8-hour wage works. And yes, we have people making $500,000 a year. And yes, we have people making $100,000 and 6 figures, multiple 6 figures a year. But more importantly, we have people who have added $500, $1,200, $3,000 a month that changes their lives. Changes their lives, because with our Fast Start bonus, you could put $3,500 in your pocket in a couple of weeks. And we've seen hundreds of people do it who really needed that money. So yeah, you could earn hundreds of thousands, but that's not the important money. The important money is the money that pays your car payment when you can't, makes your rent when you can't, pays those doctor bills. That's what I'm most proud of about the Purium economy.
It's so beautiful, Dave. Absolutely beautiful. Hey, listen, before we sign off, I am really excited to ask you about the soil stewardship work that you're doing on some of the farmland you're working with, I guess in Utah. Is that right?
Well, yeah, all over though. Like one of the best projects I'm working on right now is with a famous Native American tribe where, we've identified bacterium in the feces of buffalo that actually regenerate soil faster than anything we've ever seen. And if you mix that together with some cottonwood, right, and a little bit of, activator, a few mycelium, right, just mixed in, man, you could regenerate soil faster than anything you've ever seen, and if you have to start from scratch, and you have to just grow 1 year worth of sunflower seeds, worth of sunflowers just to, strip out everything you can, and then, maybe grow a year of alfalfa and green manure that in, to get all the ribosium, and all that yummy stuff getting back in there and attract worms and, get all of that happening. And so soil regeneration is my jam, it's what I love to do. we didn't have to regenerate the soil that we chose. We had a 7,000 ancient lake bed with 99 feet deep of the richest soil you've ever seen. And we water it with mineral springs. And yeah, we take care of it. We rotate it. We do all the good stuff. But we didn't have to regenerate our soil. But we do teach other farmers to regenerate theirs. And we help other people to do that. But what we like is like the regenerative. In other words, once it's going, it gets better every year. Okay. It's not a matter of necessarily restoring. That's not the regenerative we do. We do the maintaining and, keeping it awesome. So, but I love helping other farmers and other people. And I love the science behind it, and I love the carbon sequestration part of it, where if you do it together, you could not only, you can not only regenerate the soil, you can regenerate the whole carbon balance as well. And if we could just teach people to do that, whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, absolutely. Whoa, indeed.
I got chills,
Yep, absolutely, brother. Yeah, my dear friend Brooke Levan, co-founder of Sustainable Settings Biodynamic Farm here in Colorado, also a few years back connected up with some Lakota wisdom and medicine, and they started making the biodynamic preps using the buffalo manure, and
those are my people.
Incredible results already showing up from there. And so much so that their soil data from their soil carbon increase literally went off of the chart of the NRCS's standard measurements. And one of the things I point out in the book Why on Earth and our soil stewardship handbook is that a 10% increase in soil carbon worldwide is equivalent to sequestering all of the fossil carbon and the disturbed chemical agricultural carbon releases since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. That will restabilize our climate. So
bring back the buffalo.
Dave, what's that? Bring back the buffalo. Exactly. Yeah, it's so beautiful what you're doing, and I'd love actually to geek out with you sometime about the science and the soil stuff you're doing. So maybe we'll save that for another episode or another time. But I'm just so thrilled for this opportunity to connect with you, and so thrilled to be able to share with our Y on Earth community the Purium story. Again, go to yonearth.org/Purium if you'd like to get involved and get engaged. And Dave, before we sign off with our podcast episode for the day, is there anything else you'd like to share or mention?
Only, I know it sounds really, really corny. But I was a homeless guy living in the streets. People told me I was dirt. They threw shit at me. I was under a dark cloud, So I grabbed some seeds. I mixed the shit with the dirt, waited for the rain, and I fed the world. So I want you guys, no matter what anybody else says of you, thinks about you, like you just keep believing in yourselves, okay? And keep remembering that no matter what people say about you, it's still your job to love them. It's still your job to save them. Remember what Jesus Christ said on the cross. He said, I forgive them. They know not what they're doing. So don't worry about other people and their mistakes. Okay. Don't worry about other people and their judgment. Don't worry about other people and their path. Okay. Find your own. Make it noble. Pursue excellence and sleep every night knowing that you are awesome. That's what I want. That's what I want the world to know, is that you're the change. It's not somebody else. Every little tiny thing you do, every smile, okay, and every kind word is part of the change we need in the world. So compliment somebody doing something awesome, and they're going to do more of it. Okay. So let's make it everybody's job to go out, and tomorrow, everybody you see being an amazing human being, tell them you appreciate the fact and you acknowledge and you see them for the effort they're making to make this world a better place. Yeah, that's what I want to leave you with.
Amen, brother. Amen to that. That is so beautiful. Well, I'll tell you what, Dave, thanks so much for visiting with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. My grandfather was Spanish. He would say, "La gusto es mío." So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, Dave.
Okay, all the best.
Right on, brother. That was super. So if you've got 5 minutes, we could do a quick behind the scenes for our ambassadors.
I don't mind. I'm just going to cool the room down for 1 second, and then we'll jump right in. So whenever you're ready.
That was not only amazing, right? And I interview a lot of very impressive people, but by golly, that little beautiful prayerful soliloquy you gave at the end there was precious. I mean, it was incredible.
You're the best, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm grateful for what you're doing, man.
So I used to, what I call, do goddess trainings because I had, I'm sorry about that. Because I have so many music festivals and stuff on my land, and I would do these, these trainings, and I would teach them how to change the world. And I would say, all you have to do is compliment somebody doing something amazing, and they're going to do more of it. It's that simple. And if you're a beautiful girl and you go up to a young man who's probably looking at you going, whoa, and you tell him, I just saw you pick up that trash, or I just saw how kind you treated that dog, or I just saw the way you walked that old woman to her car, whatever it is, you just find somebody doing something yummy and tell them that you appreciate that, and the world's going to change, Totally. And you find somebody who's pissed off and acting mean, and you tell them, I'm so sorry. I can tell that you're hurting right now.
Yeah.
I can see that you're hurting right now. And, I don't know what it is, but I'm not going to take it personally, because I know you didn't mean what you're doing, So did you need a hug?
Yeah, exactly. That's right on, brother. That's right on.
Cool. Let's do this.
By the way, I'd love to get out and visit you at your place there near the Sequoias. And I think we'll be out on the West Coast sometime this fall, hopefully, doing some fundraisers and some events around the launch of Veritas and all of that. So
when you come on up.
Yeah, man.
For sure. Open invitation.
Thanks. Yeah, I'd love to.
You could sleep in a teepee, or you could sleep in a geodome. You could, sleep in a nice room with a jacuzzi bathtub. We got options.
Love it. Love it. I like all of those very much. Well, okay, if you're ready, we can do this 5-minute segment, and it's 5:55 now, so that should take us right around the top of the hour.
Perfect.
And so if you're ready, I'll kick it off.
Go.
Hey, friends. Here with Dave Sandoval, the founder of Purium, and we just finished recording our podcast episode together, and now are really psyched to have a few minutes behind the scenes here with Dave. And Dave, I gotta say that last few minutes of you closing out our podcast episode was so special, so heartfelt, and full of wisdom. And it was interesting. You shared with us that you lived, homeless at one point. And I'm curious if you might just tell us a little more about that aspect of your background, and of course, anything else you'd like to share with our ambassadors. And of course, we're psyched, thinking many of our ambassadors are going to get engaged with Purium, and perhaps several will become brand ambassadors as well. So I want to be sure to mention that. But that background you shared, David, it's really potent to hear your story.
Well, I just think that God prepares us for the work that we're meant to do, and I was meant to learn radical forgiveness. That was just what God wanted for me. Yeah. So I was homeless. I was living under trees, eating out of trash cans, and people looked at me like I was an animal. I must have looked like an animal, I'm sure, didn't have a brush for my hair, or had 2 sets of clothes and no clothes washer, Yeah. So I washed my clothes in the ocean. And one time there was a big storm, and I went up to the rich people's houses with a trash can and a rake and a plastic bag. And I'm like, hey, I'll clean up your yard after the storm, And a woman says, okay, So I just about got her yard spotless when a police car rolls up behind me.
Oh, no.
And the cop's like, assume the position, you're trespassing. And I said, no, I'm working. He says, no, you're soliciting. No soliciting, no trespassing. It says right there. I said, but the woman offered me $10. I said, no, you asked for $10, he told me, to clean her yard. She didn't offer. And she wasn't about to say, no, look at you. You look like an animal.
Wow.
And I looked over at this woman and she's looking at me like, put him in the car, officer, put him in the car, you know? And I said, wait 1 second. And I looked over, I said, ma'am, I just want to say thank you. And she said, what are you thanking me for? I said, you see these storm clouds? It's going to rain again tonight. All I wanted was to earn $25 so I could go get that cheap hotel up the room and maybe buy a taco. That's all I wanted, ma'am. And now, thanks to you and this fine gentleman, I'm going to get 2 nights in a hotel room and I'm going to get 6 meals.
Yeah.
I said, so thank you. And by the time they let me out, this storm's going to pass. And you did that for me, ma'am. So thank you. And the officer slapped me on the head and pushed me in the car and said, shut up, punk. But he didn't know I was real. I was telling the truth. I had to find love for that woman or else I was going to be a bitter human being. So great creator led me there.
Yeah. I'll hold to that.
Yeah. So ever since then, I haven't been blaming anybody for my position.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's so empowering, right?
Yeah.
Truly. Well, is there any specific message you'd like to share with our ambassadors, particularly folks who might be interested in becoming, brand ambassadors with Purium?
Man, I can't even tell you, the only way I ever made money that got me out of my poverty was as a salesman, just telling people about stuff and then they'd buy it and I'd make a little commission. And then my customers learned to trust me. And then they would always come back and buy more, and that's the way it works at Purium. So I built Purium on that model, to where every time someone comes back, they want more, you earn money. When they tell their friends, you earn money. When they tell their friends, you earn money. And I did it to where out of every $100, 25 of it goes as a discount. 25 of it goes as a first level commission, right? And then another 15% goes to the field in the second level commissions, to where at the end of the day, I'm paying out, 65%, of what comes in. And that's the beauty of network marketing, is that it's redistributed. You know what I mean? It comes in and then it goes out, and it goes out to the right people, the people who actually did the work. And so at network marketing, people get confused. So I'm going to explain it. There's 3 ways to make money. One, you sell to the people you know, and you make a really nice commission, a big commission, right? And every time they order, you make that commission. And if you never do anything except for that, we pay really good bonuses if you become good at that. But when your friends come to you and you say, hey, I see you recommended recommended products and making money. Could you teach me to do that too? Well, then you've got a team working for you, right? Then you literally have built your business. You've got reps working in this city, reps working in that city, reps working in this part of town, reps working in that part of town. And you're like, wow, I've actually owned a business. I've got people working for me. But they not only work for you, they work for themselves, because just like you're my partner, they're your partner. And we're all partners in the same thing. Now, it's multiple levels of income, because you could just make money off of the stuff you sell. Or you could make money off of the stuff that the people you train to sell. And when I say you train, I mean we train, because we offer all the support to teach you how to do that. And so the coolest part is, look at what we call our income, statement. It's called an income. It's a whole government authentic thing that has to be done by auditors. And if it's wrong, I could go to jail. This is serious stuff, right? Income disclosure statement. That's what it's called. So look for our income disclosure statement, and you'll see that the average person, for the hours they work, is making 5 times as much as the person, for the time they put in that job, what I call the paycheck matrix, where you get up early, you get dressed a certain way, you get someplace on time or you're in trouble. You work 4 hours before you can eat, no matter how hungry you are. You work another 4 before you can rest, no matter how tired you are. You ask for a vacation and it may not be granted. You ask for a raise that may not be granted. You ask for a promotion that may never be given. And you live your whole life beholden. No, baby. No way. That's the paycheck matrix. We're going to get you out of it. You're going to truly be in a place that no one can fire you, that you have both residual and, passive income. And very few people have an opportunity to do that.
That's really powerful. It's really, really powerful, Dave. I've been an entrepreneur. I sometimes joke that that's a bit of a hereditary disease, and it runs in my family. So yeah, I've been a creator of my own destiny, for better or for worse, for most of my adult working life as well. And to give folks an opportunity like this, Dave, to step in and do the same in their own lives and in their own professional and breadwinning efforts. I mean, it's remarkable to have an opportunity like this.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that, I send out thousands of paychecks. Okay. Me send out thousands of paychecks every week. And we pay some people more than the president of the United States makes. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. Really wonderful. Well, I'm so psyched for our connection, Dave, and this time with you today, and super, super grateful and excited about our budding partnership between the Y on Earth community and the Purium family. And for folks who haven't yet heard, the way we came in is with my dear friend and brother and our ambassador, John Parcell, and his dear honey, Rosie. And that's the Love Family group with Michael Mazes and some other just beautiful folks who have been building that part of the Purium ecosystem for a number of years now. And we're so grateful to be a part of that, Dave, and excited to invite in many of our friends and colleagues from the Y on Earth community to join and become a part of that as well.
Amazing. Well, we say that you have to find your why, you have to find your why on Earth. And I just really commend you for the work that you're doing. I want to celebrate you, acknowledge you. I want to, really raise you up, brother, because not too many people take on the work that you've chosen to do. Okay. So for everybody who's watching right now, I want you to lift this man up. I want you to send him that love, that strength, that karma, that energy to keep the pep in his step. Keep the energy in his heart and that fire in his belly, so that we could change and make the change that we all need, in our own way. So keep doing your part, everybody. We're rowing this boat in the same direction toward the same shore. Okay.
Amen. Yeah. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, Dave. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Thank you, brother. All the best.
All the best.
The Y on Earth Community Stewardship and Sustainability podcast series is hosted by Aaron William Perry, author, thought leader, and executive consultant. The podcast and video recordings are made possible by the generous support of people like you. To sign up as a daily, weekly, or monthly supporter, please visit yonearth.org/support. Support packages start at just $1 per month. The podcast series is also sponsored by several corporate and organization sponsors. You can get discounts on their products and services using the code YONEARTH, all one word with a Y. These sponsors are listed on the yonearth.org/support page. If you found this particular podcast episode especially insightful, informative, or inspiring, please pass it on and share it with a friend whom you think will also enjoy it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And thank you for being a part of the Y on Earth community.